Majo, John, Ned, and Juanito in my tiny house in the little pueblo of Acamal, Mexico in the Riviera Maya. I just made a long video about the balance, the dialectic that's required to make a human life or a business team work is the right balance between human relationships and taking charge, making things happen. Kind of soft skills, human part, and the tough edge, taking charge part. I gave one little example from my life of doing that, but I want to give another more dramatic example. Here in Mexico, almost a year ago now, in Orizaba is one of the 30 magic pueblos in Mexico. Gorgeous, beyond charming. What a magical town up in the mountains 2 hours west of Veracruz. I spent 7 weeks there and was high as a kite. I loved that town so much. But the one part that was less charming was getting arrested. And it was over a technicality. The cops who arrested me, 7 cops, probably 3 of them with AK-47s, surrounding me in this park. And by the time they arrived, I had, now one key to making things happen in Mexico is Spanish. And while I don't have enough Spanish to do the conversational human relations part all that great, I have enough Spanish to make almost any transaction happen. And when the cops arrived, I had 7 screenshots of translated Spanish in my phone to explain to them what had gone on. And cops understood it. They got it. Okay, he's not a perp. Even though the mother screaming at me and at them was saying I was a perp, they knew I was not. But talk about making things happen. In Mexico, forget the trope of the sleepy little senorita. Latinas, when they want something, are going to get it these days in Mexico. Everybody knows that. And they knew that that mother, if they did not give her satisfaction, there was going to be hell to pay forever. So they had to arrest me. These 7 tough cops had to arrest me. Very apologetically, the whole way as they were taking me a long ways down to the jail, where they called me Jefe, chief, boss, a sign of respect. And one of the cops who dropped me off used his Google Translator, as the young people know how to do, to say to me, it was an awkward translation, this has been an administrative error, and you will be released out of here in 11 hours, 12 hours, without having to see a magistrate, no record, no nothing, you'll get out. But 12 hours, you're gonna sit there for 12 hours. And it was an extraordinarily well-run city, extraordinarily well-run police department, model, and very professional jail, with the exception that 40 minutes after I had been put in a cell by myself, very respectfully, very professionally, they put in a street kid who was drugged out and was on the floor whining, crying, I've got a broken arm, somebody's got to help me. It was a bruised arm. It didn't look like it was broken, but he was out of it. And one rogue jailer came into that jail, and the way the jail was set up, you couldn't see any of the other cells, long row of cells, but each one having a security camera on it the whole time. One rogue jailer came in there and 6 feet away from me kicked the shit out of that kid. I counted like 7 kicks and 4 punches, violent, ruthless. I came damn near jumping on that guy's back to break it up, which would not have been an effective move because that's assaulting an officer. And the trope that in Mexico, the last thing you want is to go to a Mexican jail. You may never get out of there. You'll rot. Not true in that jail, and not true in Mexico anymore. But that still was in my mind. And enough in my mind to realize you don't want to assault an officer. But over the course of the day, that kid dried out and I had enough Spanish to develop a relationship with him. And before I was released, I said to that kid, I'm going to get justice for you. I'm going to bring that guy down. That's a pretty strong claim to make, but I meant it. And as I left, he stuck his fist out through the cell, gave me a fist bump, and said, "Amigo siempre," friends forever. And he will not have found out that I did it. I did it, and I tell the story elsewhere in a video that I'll put a link to. But yeah, I did. Halfway through, I went, your friends back home in the U.S. are going to say, you are insane. You're going to mess with the police department in a city where you have no friends and you barely speak the language. You are insane. But I knew that in addition to having 7 spectacular weeks in that town, the real reason I was there so I could be there. It was life had arranged it so there would be someone in the cell who had the self-confidence and the ability to make things happen to get justice for that kid, and I got it. Yeah. I'm not going to give the details. It's all told elsewhere. But it's very satisfying. One of my most satisfying moments.